My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. You've heard of self-storage. Have you ever heard of pro storage? Well, today's guest, Joe Downs, that's what he's all about. He's got a company that focuses a lot on self-storage and pro storage. They've become very, very good at that. In fact, they're starting to build out these properties themselves. So we're going to find out all about that here today. So zooming in from just outside of beautiful Philadelphia, welcome to the show, Joe Downs.
Dave, so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So give us a little snapshot of what your company is and what your current portfolio looks like, just to get our brains around it.
Yeah, sure. So we started our storage progression, if you will, started with self-storage. And we've acquired, well, I tell people we've acquired 20 facilities, but really we've acquired 19 self-storage facilities and one pro storage facility. It wasn't called pro storage. It was called contractor storage. And by the way, there's this of the 20 we've acquired, 20 total facilities. This was probably our 6th or 7th. So it was early on. And I mean, the funny thing, if I let you, a little inside baseball, pull up our skirt or whatever expression you want, is we didn't know what we were buying. We had no idea. We saw this facility and we went, what is this? This is not like the others. To the naked eye, to the amateur eye. So someone not in self-storage. So respectfully, maybe that's you, Dave, for instance. Mm-hmm. If you saw a pro storage facility and a self-storage facility, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference at a glance or
from the outside. They kind of look similar. Okay.
They look the same. From a satellite view, no way you'll tell the difference. You would really need to see the size of a car or a person standing next to the doors to have a reference point to say, hey, they look a little bigger than what I thought self-storage was. So we ended up finding this facility through our natural search for self-storage, and we underwrote it as if it was self-storage because we didn't know how to do anything else. That's all we did. Yeah. And it checked all those boxes. And so when we were in the due diligence process, I actually had lunch with a guy who's kind of a mentor locally to me. He owned a lot of storage facilities in the Philadelphia area. I would meet him once a quarter for breakfast. And I said, hey, his name's Ed. I said, Ed, we got this facility we're under contract on, and it's not really self-storage. It's self-storage, but they're all of our customers are contractors, or sorry, 80% of them are contractors. Yeah. And maybe 20% of the units were filled with boats and RVs. And, some guy had an antique car that he, toyed around with. It was like a man cave type of thing. Yeah. So I said, what, have you ever encountered anything like this? You're a self-storage guy. We're a self-storage guy. This is a lot of contractors, which was what they were this is down in Wilmington, North Carolina. And, he said, walk me through all contractors, because I'm sure we had contractors at our facilities, but, you take an average facility of 300-400 customers. If you got a contractor or two, they don't really stand out. Yeah. I don't even know if they're there. So I said, what do you know about contractors? And he went through all the pros and cons of having contractors at a self-storage facility, like don't do this.
Yeah, normal one. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're harder on it because they're in and out more. Dave, you go to a self-storage facility, maybe 4 times a year. A contractor's in and out maybe twice.
4 times a day.
Yeah,
4 times a day.
That's the gate opening and closing, way more than you budget. I said, well, all right, that's fine. We can budget for that. That's just maintenance. We'll beef up the maintenance budget on the gate, and we'll beef up that budget, and it's still all panned out, or still worked out. And or from a performance standpoint. And then I said, he said, but they're great customers because, they're never late. And because think about what they're storing there. They're not storing, your treasures, your grandmother's hand-me-downs and this and that.
It's not a bunch of crap they're storing. It's their business.
You said crap, Dave. I was saying treasures. So
Well, you're the guy that's selling people that they use in self-storage, so of course you're going to say that. I'm the
I
guy
want everyone to
whose
know
mother used that stuff and it
we
was all
keep your
crap.
treasures very secure.
Yeah, but basically, so yeah, they're storing the means of their livelihood versus stuff they cleaned out of mom's house, when she
Tens
passed
of
away.
thousands of dollars worth of
Yeah.
stuff or more
So it's
versus
almost like a poor man's industrial bay, for lack of a better term. Would that be kind of?
it's exactly it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Ed says, they're great because of what they're storing. They never miss a payment. Blah blah. He goes, and we're walking out and paying the check. He goes, or he said, but the only time I ever lost them was when they outgrew me. And they
Mm.
would go to a small warehouse, industrial warehouse, exactly what you just said. Small
Yeah.
warehouse, maybe 5,000 square feet, which was probably more than they needed, but it was so cheap, no big deal, right? So then we're paying the check, and we're walking out the door, and he almost didn't say this to me. And he said, "But you should really look into that." I said, "Look into what?" He goes, "You heard of what last mile warehouse, right?" I said, "Heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. That's a logistics industrial warehouse,
Yeah.
as far as I know. That's not self storage. That's not in my world." And so you should look into that. I think I bet you all those contractors are getting squeezed out now. So what do you mean? He said, "Well, Amazon, they're taking up all the space. They're pushing out all the contractors. Look into it." I was
Mm.
like, okay. So it began, and we started researching it, and all of a sudden the light bulbs just bing, 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 like, oh my God. So now we're still in due diligence. I go back to Jack, who runs our acquisition, said, "Jack, if a contractor wanted to leave us, where would they go?" And he said, "Well, why would they leave?" I said, "Let's say we jacked the rent up so much because we were pretty under market in rent as far
Mm.
as we were concerned. Now we're doing due diligence on this. Isn't just self storage. This is small warehouse
Yeah.
space."
Plus, the units are so much bigger than the
Yeah.
average. Yeah.
So now we're like, well, how are we looking at where are we with rates in the market? Are we up high, low, whatever? So we're doing all this due diligence. I said, well, what happens? Where do they go? What are their options? You got 1,000 square feet, right? Self storage. I should have backed up a second. Traditional self storage, the 2 bedroom apartment of the self storage, if you will, is a 10 by 10. That's our most common unit size. It's 100 square feet.
Yeah.
A business owner contractor, they'll take the bigger units. They'll take the 10 by 20s, that's 200 square feet, or 15 by 20, 300 square feet, right? They're always taking those units. So that means they've outgrown that to what? 500, 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet. So
Yeah.
instead, if someone wants to leave us, where are they going? So we looked in the market, went in LoopNet, Craigslist. This is the whole Wilmington market we looked in. We found 2 places they could go. One was 2,000 square feet, one was 2,500 square feet. Neither one was as nice looking as what we had. And what we're about to buy here is not Class A. It's a Class C, I would call it. It's a metal garage like you think of self storage looks like. It's just bigger,
Tin
taller,
on concrete with
cheaper.
a light bulb.
What's that?
Tin on concrete with a light bulb.
Exactly, but wider,
Yeah.
deep,
Bigger. Big ones.
taller ceilings. So what we had here, you could drive your truck into, or a boat, or an RV. You had 16-foot ceilings, 14-foot doors. They range from 500 to 1,000 square feet. So if you're taking up that much space as one of our customers, what are your options if you get mad at
If you
us,
want to leave. Yeah.
you want to leave? There's none. And we're not the only game in town in Wilmington. At the time there were 3 other competitors that we in our research now have learned, hey, there's more, and back then contractor storage, right? So now we found out in Wilmington there's 300,000 square feet of contractor storage, which we have coined pro storage. So thank you for
Mm.
using it. And I could tell you why we call it that. But um, so all of a sudden now, Dave, we're super excited about this. We close on it. We start operating it, and I'm antsy because I'm like, please, I can't wait to raise rates here, which we don't normally do that quickly. But I wanted to test it. This had to be our
Mm.
guinea pig, and not only our guinea pig, but our guinea pig in a market that served as a petri dish because we weren't the
Right.
only game in town. So I wanted to see what happened. So we started raising rates, and sure enough, they're not going anywhere. or the only move outs we had weren't because of rates. They were because of they wanted something even bigger, or they consolidated or whatever, or they went out of business. But they or they moved. But it was never about the rate, because could never find a suitable replacement, even in a market with competition, because the competition was full too.
They're all full.
We're all full. Everybody's full.
So when who started building the next one first? That would be the question.
One of the other guys in that market that owned, but he was already way ahead of us, and he already had a site selected and everything. So I haven't looked to see if anyone else is building in that market. Although I don't, we would be alerted if because we have the software platforms that alert us if any applications for permits are put in. So pretty sure no one else is trying to build there. But in either case, in our research, what we, not just in Wilmington but in general, started to now I wanted to understand last mile warehouse, Amazon, Walmart, what's going on with e-commerce. The stats will blow your mind. And what Ed had told me is actually happening. There's a paradigm shift happening, and we're all guilty of participating in it. You are too, just as you look at me right now. You don't realize it, but you're guilty. And so am I. And I say that because I know confidently I can say that you have Amazon packages showing up at your house daily. Right? Is that fair to say? Right.
Well, not daily, but on a regular basis. Yeah.
Okay.
One arrived today, actually. So there you go.
Do you go to the store anymore to buy anything that isn't food?
Not very often.
Yeah. So that's the paradigm shift that's happening. Everything's being delivered to us. We've all seen, at least I know you're up in British Columbia, so I'm assuming the same thing's happening up there. But around us, you drive down a highway, you see these 1,000,000 square foot warehouses going up. Those are all massive regional distribution centers for all the goods that are getting shipped to the United States or North America in this case, right?
Yeah.
And they're coming in on cargo ships. They're going onto tractor trailers, and they're going to these facilities, and then they're being rerouted logistically to end up near us. Why? Near you, near me, near whoever's listening, near you. Why? Because, you ready for this statistic? It'll blow you away. Amazon and Walmart know today that if they can't deliver a product to us by tomorrow, they lose 25% of sales.
Wow.
That is an astronomical number. Case in point, last May, a year ago, driving my son last week of school, driving him to school. He's 8th grade. He's big into working out and fitness, lacrosse player. I don't know who his dad is. Supposedly it's me, but I wasn't that into that at that age.
Yeah.
And and so he's Dad, I want to get a pull-up bar. No, we're not getting a pull-up bar. No, Dad, come on. I want to get this is Deegan pull-up bar, Bruins door jams. It's not happening. I'm not.
Yeah, you're thinking the screw-on one, like
We've all seen what they do.
Yeah,
not doing it. Dad, and this kid's gonna be successful. He just wears me down on the drive to school. He said, Dad, look at this one. This doesn't screw on. It doesn't ruin the paint. There's the reviews. I said, fine, get it. If it does, it's going back. I get home that night. I said, Dad, doesn't ruin the paint at all. I told you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the pull-up bar. I tried it on my door, tried it on my brother, his brother's door. I said, you already have it? A pull-up bar. He ordered it on the way to school, and he came home from school and was doing pull-ups on the pull-up bar. It's a pull-up bar, Dave. It wasn't toilet paper. It wasn't,
Yeah, it wasn't an everyday purchase kind of thing. Yeah.
A pull-up bar. How is there a pull-up bar within an hour of my house waiting for a kid to order? That's where we are. Wow. So this is not a Philadelphia problem. It's not a U.S. problem. This is an international.
Yeah, it's a worldwide thing. Yeah,
it's a worldwide problem. So how we shop and how those goods are getting to us, that's a paradigm shift that's changing. And I'm not suggesting I'm building warehouses for Amazon, but I do know this: Amazon and Walmart are pushing out, and you can see this if you look at or talk to a commercial real estate broker. The old 50,000, 20,000 foot flex warehouse that used to cost $5 a foot or $12 a foot, depending on the neighborhood you're in, is now $10 a foot or $20 a foot. Wow. Because there's that much demand for that space. Well, guess who can't pay for that?
Yeah,
The
the small
old
guys.
the old occupier of that space that rented it for $5 or $8 or $12. They need homes. So we're
Mhm.
building their homes.
Now,
And
but is it a big shift down for them because, or are you guys starting to include like a little bit more in the facilities, or is it still basically just like, is there heating in these things? Is there anything along those lines
so
for the guys?
In Wilmington, no. This was built
Yeah.
20 years ago by a plumber out of his own necessity, and I'm sure all of his buddies, electricians, all the trades were in there.
Yeah.
What we're building is actually going to be Class A. So what we have in Wilmington's Class C, we'll probably build some Class C in the appropriate neighborhoods, or it's
Mhm.
really about functionality.
Okay.
But what we're setting out to build with Pro Storage is Class A. So it's going to look and feel almost like a an apartment. I mean, from the outside, it's going to look like not an apartment, but more like a nice office complex.
Mm.
Um, it's not just contractors that are getting displaced, it's business owners. So we're going after the business owner, the contractor, the boat owner, the RV, really any toy you put on a trailer. But it doesn't have to be a toy. If you want to put a backhoe on a trailer and haul it
Store
in,
it there.
shut
Yeah.
your door, who cares? You're fully enclosed. To answer your question, we'll have units that are climate control. We'll have non-climate control. If you want power in your unit, we can charge a cover charge for that.
So
Um,
different bells and whistles depending on
there'll
what a
be
guy needs.
Yeah, and depending on where they are, we'll have boats and RVs. So on certain facilities where if we think we're going to be in a heavy boat and RV concentration in the facility, maybe 20-30%, we'll probably have wash stations, dump stations,
Mm.
stuff like that, that the boat and RV owner is going to want. Although a contractor is going to want that as well, a
Yeah,
nice
for
wash
sure.
station for their, hose down their truck or whatever. So there's going to be amenities depending on where we are. You're also going to have a clubhouse. So we're going to have a place for you to either meet your clients if you're a contractor or a business owner. You
Ah,
want
smart.
to have a meeting, do a display, whatever. We'll have a little clubhouse there. You have Wi-Fi. You can have CCTV in your unit. Obviously, we'll have it on the outside everywhere,
Yeah.
but you can have it in your unit. And then, by the way, if I can expand on technology for a second,
Yeah.
let's say you're a contractor, you're just a contractor, you're at a job site, you need another pallet of X, but you can't have it delivered to the job site. So now what? You got to go pick it up from Home Depot, Lowe's, Supply House,
Mhm.
whatever it is, then take it to your unit. How about you order it from your phone, you have it delivered to your unit because they do delivery, right?
Mhm.
And you share the not only the access code to the facility, but also the access code to your unit. You can watch on your camera on your phone the pallet being delivered, nothing being stolen out of it, right? But the pallet being delivered. So there's just and then we've got in the case of Amazon resellers or
Yeah.
wholesalers. We have a kid that sells mattresses out of a unit. Now he doesn't do this, but I'll bet you he would like to be in a brand new facility someday where we'll have RFID readers in the door, so every product coming in and out is read, right? So
Nice.
you all those bells and whistles can be available to you. We'll have the technology there if that's something that someone wants to use. It's just it's
I love
a
that.
menu of
I love the
charge.
clubhouse idea. That's great too. It's almost like a co-working spacey idea
Yeah.
within this facility because you realize these guys are business guys, and yeah, from time to time they got to meet people or and things like that. Are some of them going to be pretty close to like industrial flex type places? Like just like are they going to have little offices in them for these guys to actually do business from their unit or
So in the first edition, no. So there's a fine line. It's a very fine line between small bay flex, which is a little niche popping up right now. It's not a
yeah.
storage niche, but it's a niche within commercial real estate and flex warehouse, I guess. And storage. There's a fine line between the two. And by the way, from a development standpoint, it matters because it costs less to build what we're building.
Mhm.
But we're not going to be able to have anybody working in our unit. That's not a use and occupancy that we're going to have, at least in this first edition.
Okay.
In future editions, we might say, okay, this building is zoned for that, but these buildings
So
aren't.
these are the guys that are running their business from their truck on their phone, their laptop,
Or
whatever.
yeah,
That's their office or their
they've
home
either
office.
got a virtual bookkeeper billing, whatever,
Mhm.
or they do it from their dining room table. They don't need an office,
Yeah.
but they can't have their truck in their
Yeah.
HOA or their tools or whatever. So they just need a home base. It's for them. Or look at how about the catering company
Mm.
who has to have a retail place to receive the bride and groom, to use an example, right? So they're in a retail center environment, right? Where they're paying $25 a square foot,
Yeah.
right? But they don't need to pay $25 a square foot to store tables
All the
and
tables
chairs,
and chairs
racks of
and
glasses and
yeah.
dishes, right?
Yeah.
They need us for that. So they have an office, they just need overflow, or a furniture store, or I mean, there's so many different uses for it. And honestly, my favorite part, Dave, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, is it's storage. So it's month to month.
Yeah.
I'm a small business owner. I know what we're growing, but I've been a small business owner for a long time. I know the challenges you have as a small business owner from a space standpoint, from an overhead standpoint. This gives the ability for someone to start a business. You can start with 500 square feet. You don't have to sign a lease for 5 years for 1,000 square feet or
Yeah.
5,000 square feet.
You're not
You can
worried about triple
start.
net. You're not doing
No,
any of
it's
that
it's
stuff.
just
Yeah.
it's all included. Here's your monthly payment, 500 square feet, 750, 1,000. You get to 1,000, you need another 500. Hey, do we have another unit for you? We can help you
Yeah.
flex up, flex down seasonally. You got seasonal
Lots
businesses
more
that,
flexibility.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So that I love that as a small business owner myself, that I love that aspect of it for that it should help the small business community and the small business environment grow. And that's everywhere.
oh, that's beautiful. Joe, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are curious and want to find out more. So if people want to connect with you, where should they go?
Honestly, the best way to reach me is my email. Our website's belrosegroup.com. It's belrosegrp.com, but my email is joe@belroseam.com. It's BELROSE, A as an asset, M as in management.com.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks for explaining what Pro Storage is. It's very, very exciting. I can see why you're so juiced up about this.
I am juiced up. And Dave, I really appreciate the platform to explain it and commend guys like you for interviewing. I don't know how great of an interview I am, but others like me, because when I was a young buck, there were no podcasts. So we had to learn by going out and doing. So I commend you for providing this opportunity for your listeners.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you very much. All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.